Hello, I'm Mike Mulvihill. On the 29th of July 1975, the well-known Showband personality Tom Dunphy was killed in a road traffic accident near Drumsna in County Leitrim. A monument was erected in his memory near where the accident occurred. In December of 2020, I presented 2 Showband programmes, and on the second of those shows, I spoke to a number of people who came on the scene that day. One who was Des Shanley. Des attended to the upkeep of the area around the monument all his life. The segment you are about to watch and listen to is taken from that second show which I did. And this video also includes some extra content which Des gave me. Indeed, since speaking to Des Shanley as part of that second programme, it was with great sadness that I heard of his death in 2021. And I would like to extend my own condolences to his family and friends.
As they played, the Beatles actually played opening for the Royal in Liverpool. You know, in 1960, around the early 60s. They came and played locally. And they never got big-headed, and we didn't make them big-headed either. We didn't pass any remarks, but we were probably experiencing the cream, and it's an era that they say couldn't be repeated. But
the Big Eight, yeah, that was a huge band. That was brilliant. No, absolutely, yeah, that was well done. No, and very good. Yeah.
Did you see the Big Eight?
I did, yeah, surely. Sure, I seen them all nearly. Yeah, I did indeed, yeah.
The Big Eight, a very popular band who spent a lot of time touring, especially across the water in Las Vegas. It was there that the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley, would often attend concerts to see Brendan Bowyer and his band on stage. In 1975, when the band had returned to Ireland to play a tour, news broke that Tom Dunphy had been killed in a car crash travelling to one of those gigs.
At this time they'd have been home from the States. You know, they'd be coming home during the summer.
They were the Big Eight at this time?
The Big Eight, and they were in Las Vegas. They were heading to the Mary of Dunlow Festival in Donegal.
And he had been going to the Big Eight, and they were playing on a Tuesday night.
That's right. Oh yeah, they were very good. I liked Tom Dunphy.
He was killed over at Masonite. Actually, I remember the evening well when he was killed, because I was going over to pick up a lady friend at the time. And I used to go that way fairly regular, and it was a big tragedy at the time as well. Yeah, Tom Dunphy was massive at the time too, you know. Yeah, it was a big blow, but yeah.
I remember I was just rehearsing Dingaling at the time. We started in September 75, and I remember the news hit us like a sledgehammer, because it was so close to home as well, so close to where Dad was teaching. You know, it was only out the road from the turn-off for Drumsna School. It was near the turn-off for Mulvihill. It was like the equivalent to the death of Elvis in Ireland, like he was such a legend. Huge sadness to the Showband fraternity, as well as the fans and the people who idolised him. He was the guy who made the first Showband record ever, and his death was a huge loss.
I remember hearing it now, and I thought it was horrendous. Like, it was an awful tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. It was Tom Dunphy in an accident up in Annaduff and Drumshanbo.
I was coming from Tullamore with my late boss, Raymond Laird, and we were coming down the hill at Annaduff, and this big Granada car passed us.
They had come from Waterford, and they were heading up to the Bundoran to pick up Brendan Bowyer when they were heading on to the Mary from Dunlow Festival in Donegal that evening.
And by the time we got on the stretch, we could see his car was stuck in the ditch.
And we came on the scene. It was only after happening. It's just one of these things, that bad accident. He was cutting the corner and lost control and hit the lorry, and that was it.
And was it Tom that was driving at the time?
Tom was driving, and then his guitarist then, or the big eight guitarist, was Noel Ryan. There was chaos because there was cars coming sliding in all directions, and it was the road was wet, and at that time it was a very, very bad corner. When I say very bad corner, there was a lot of accidents at the corner, whether it was the camber of the road or the surface of the road, I don't know, but it was just absolutely pandemonium. And then we were all hanging on there then, and we saw the cars pulling up, and we didn't know who it was.
I remember driving along the road, and somebody stopped me on the road. I think some man stopped me, and he says, there's been an accident, and he says, I wonder whether you could get a doctor or something. So I stopped my car and went over across the road, and we saw him, and there was two men in the car.
And I went around to the passenger side, and I could see the driver. I don't know who he was, of course. And I said to the guy who was mumbling, I said, what's your name? And when Noel Ryan came to, he was unconscious, and when he came to in the car, he said, this is Tom Dunphy. So he didn't realise, of course, nor we didn't realise that Tom was gone at that stage, you know. But that was it, you know.
And what time of the day was it?
It would be probably about 6:30, I'd say, in the evening, because we had to finish working in Carrick at 6 o'clock. So giving myself roughly 20 minutes, half an hour, we said to get that far, you know.
Yeah.
And the other occupants of the car as well. So that was literally it, about 6:30 in the evening, a wet evening.
Lord rest his soul. And I still remember to this day, I can picture the scene and everything at it. And I said, you know, there was no mobile phones. Very few people had a phone in their house. So what we could do is ask somebody to go into Carrick and get a doctor from Carrick to come out and get the ambulance or whatever.
So we went into Carrick, and other people had done the same thing, gone in and reported the accident. And it was poor Tom Dunphy. He was killed instantly, really.
I knew the ambulance came, and I actually was there when the poor man was... I didn't know it at the time it was Tom Dunphy. I just said, who is this man? He says, the big eighth, I think. And I remember looking, I saw the wedding ring in his finger, and I remember the doctor saying, I think he's gone or something like that. And I said, oh, his poor wife now, and she hears this, you know.
There were only the two of them in it. The other guys escaped. He was obviously very injured.
I think he was brought to Longford Hospital, and he survived, but poor Tom was killed. But it was a different scene now, you know, when the ambulance comes out and there's paramedics on it and there's every sort of medical treatment you can get. Completely different world than it is now. The paramedics are so very well capable people, and the medical people, and everything in the ambulance. That time there was nothing really, you know, and the doctor just came there. But Lord rest his soul, yeah. I loved Tom Dunphy singing. Actually, I preferred Tom Dunphy, even though I was a big Elvis fan, to Tom Dunphy singing. He had that skiffle music, and he had all that other stuff he used to sing, you know. It was something different as a band.
In Drumsna, beside Mulvihill Cross, to mark the spot, a memorial was erected.
That was the main road where that is now. And I'm just trying to... That road would now you have a straight stretch right by the Mulvihill Road, you know. But you turn in at Masonite there, and then you take a quick turn, and that's where the memorial is now.
So I'm here at the site of the Tom Dunphy Memorial outside of Drumsna, and I'm with Des Shanley. We can walk up here to the monument and to the memorial of Tom Dunphy, Desi, and you know, it's lovely to have this here to remember Tom.
Well, I think it's very important. What happened, how I got involved first of all was, as you see the monument here, along with Jimmy McGee and the All-Stars, they used to fundraise and stuff and have games between musicians and show bands and stuff like that. So they erected this monument.
It was a brilliant idea altogether. So you'd see people that you'd see the stage tagging out, and Jimmy McGee usually got a local team or a county team or whatever, a parish team, to play them. And they funded that in 75, I think.
And of course, as you can see, the road is bypassed, and some travellers had arrived on the scene, and they tied their donkeys or whatever to the monument, and the donkeys obviously took off and the monument was flattened. So I just said to myself, if it had happened belonged to me in Waterford, something like that, and someone was looking after it, I said to myself, I'd like to have someone to look after. So Patsy Killooley, another neighbour and myself, got it rectified and righted back into place. And then from that on, I used to keep it clean around the place and stuff like that, and trim the hedges, you know.
So you look after this and you maintain this area all the time on a voluntary basis?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. If I roll back the years a bit, I was based in Waterford, and I happened to work along with Tom's son, youngest son, Colm, and it wound up that I got to know the family fairly well then, and also Tom's sister Terry and her husband Jeffrey, and literally I just looked after the monument. And at the 35th anniversary I got it inscribed again and re-sandblasted, and then for the 40th we formed a committee, and we decided that we get it re-inscribed and engraved and actually put on some music symbols onto it, you know. So that's what we did, and that was for the 40th anniversary back in 2015. So this year then was the 45th anniversary.
Yes, and some years back actually we celebrated the 40th anniversary of Tom's passing, you see, and we Brendan Bowyer actually came in, and his daughter Aisling came to it. Again,
we say for the 40th we had members of the Big Eight and the late the Royal as well. With Eddie Sullivan, Jerry Cullen, Brendan, of course, Brendan Bowyer himself, and Noel Ryan that was in the car with Tom. They were all up for that was the musicians. But then we had Tom's daughter Caroline and Tom's two sisters Maureen and Terry, and members of the family as well. So we had a good celebration, and we wound up with the event after the Mass in Annaduff Church. Father Ryan Darcy officiated as a chief celebrant.
Death is the end of earthly life, but not of our existence, says St. Ambrose, since the soul is immortal. With that in mind, we bring the prayers, our petitions, our beauty to God.
While Tom and the Royal Showband had many followers, he also had many friends that he cared for, including my father, the wonderful, gifted Stanley, whom many admired and recalled with affection. We pray for all these talented people who have gone before us. Lord, hear us.
We pray for all the deceased members of the Jim and McGee All-Stars who erected this monument, and we thank God for Des Shanley and his team who looked after it so faithfully down through the years. Lord, hear us.
And now just quietly, maybe once again, go into your own inner sanctuary and come into God's presence. Just close your eyes for a little moment, and once you close your eyes, you're in God's presence. The Holy Spirit lives within each of us, and God is bubbling up with life within us. And pray for whatever comes to your memory.
It was really nice. It was the nicest mass there was ever at. It was a folk mass, there was singing, there was everything at it, and Father Brian Darcy was there, and it was a great tribute to Tom Dunphy.
We were back down here at the monument then after that, and then we went to Loch Allen Hotel where the Moynihan brothers from Wexford were playing. So in all, it was a very, very successful thing, and good job we did, because like as you know now, Brendan is gone as well.
Big Drumshanbo and a big Leitrim welcome for the one and only, the Hucklebelt man, Mr. Brendan Bowyer. Come up here, Brendan. Brendan Bowyer, live in Loch Allen, ladies and gentlemen, on a bank holiday.
That's very special. That Drumshanbo, you could say, was, I know Kilrona had him after for a cabaret, but he's probably his last time in Leitrim for Brendan Bowyer.
Very special request for the choir did it in the church today. That's why I'd like to especially do it. Very specially for her. We know the words, don't we? Tom Dunphy was the first ever to record in the Showband era, and it's the song he sang. He had a big hit with ever since. Come Down the Mountain, Katie Taylor.
There's no one who's getting any younger, so the members of Showband is sort of getting on in years too. So like we said, I think we've done it right when we did it for the 40th.
So we had Brendan Bowyer back in Drumshanbo, and of course there were people there who had been at his dance in the past. There was one woman in particular had a signed autograph of his dancing days, like, you know, so.
When we're standing here at the monument, you know, it's surrounded by flags.
Yes, we have, of course, Thomas from Waterford, so we have Port Lorga flag, we say, with CLG on it, and then we have the tricolour in the middle, and of course we have lovely Leitrim flag on the other side of it. And the problem is to keep them up with the storms and high winds and stuff like that, you know. But I intend to put up 3 right flag poles and have them right, and we can pull them up and down whenever we want.
And another thing which was introduced locally here around Drumsna is the Anthony Trollope Way, and this is part of the area on that walk where people can walk by it and stop and say a prayer. And
well, it's right beside the Anthony Trollope walk in here into the cemetery, right behind it, you know, the old cemetery as well. It's just right beside Anne's Church as well, you know. And I'm probably looking after the monument now 36, 37, 38 years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's quite a while, and until I close my eyes I look after it, and that's the kind of that. I do it on a voluntary basis, and that's the only way to do it, you know. I'd like it if it was done, if anything belonged to me died in Waterford or was killed in Waterford, I'd like someone there to do it, you know. And as I said, I know the family. I was down at Maura's funeral last year as well, you know, so that's the way life goes.
Our next guest has been taken care of. He's one of the main organisers here, along with John and Porrick. There's a letter that the Dunphy family have sent tonight for the occasion, and we're going to ask Des Shanley now to come up and read it. Des Shanley, would you please make your way up here on stage? Without Des Shanley, tonight wouldn't have happened, so please put your hand together for one of our main organisers, Des Shanley, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Dunphy family has asked me to read out a letter, a personal letter from the family. So, I really would please...
Can't hear it!
It says it's Leitrim's tribute to Tom Dunphy, the 31st of 7, 2015. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Dunphy family, we would like to welcome you here tonight and today on the occasion of our father's 40th anniversary. We would certainly like to extend our thanks to the committee for organising this event. He was not only a loving father and husband, but also one of Irish music's brightest stars, whose impact can still be felt today. Our dad's pioneering work with the Royal Showband and the Big Eight paved the way for today's stars to continue to showcase the best of Irish music across the world. Our mother continues to regale us children with remembrances of our father's time in the showbands to this day, such as the time the Royal played in Liverpool, and who played support were a couple of young whippersnappers known as the Beatles, or the time they had to change the name of the band to the Waterford Showband because they were playing in front of royalty. And a personal favourite of ours was when our mother and father were woken in the middle of the night in Las Vegas and were told that somebody wanted to meet them. My father, having just finished the show, didn't really want to get dressed again and go and meet whoever it was. But this person insisted, so they both got up, went through hordes of security till they got to that person's room, and who was sitting there but the one and only Elvis Presley.
Yep.
The same memories are made by the person and the people who surround themselves with so. It is a great pride and respect that we thank Brendan, Michael, Jim, Eddie, Charlie and TJ, without whom there simply would have been no wonderful stories to tell. Our sincere thanks to those in the Big Eight as well: Paddy, Adele, Jimmy, Michael, Dave, Brendan, Mikey, Noel, and to all of the others too numerous to mention. We can only say it was indeed the best of times. In closing, we would just like to say this: our dad may no longer be with us, but his memory will live on through his loving wife Maura, his 4 children, Tom, Carolyn, Terry and Colin, his grandchildren Christopher and Aisling, Keith and Aoife, and his great-grandchildren Jack and Emily. He will live on in all of our hearts and minds, and he will forever be with us. Simply Dad. Thank you very much.